Dr. Salazar, you are able to begin the meeting. We have quorum.
Dr. Salazar, can you give us a thumbs up if you can hear us okay? She can't hear us.
Once we get the go-ahead from Kathy, we'll get started. I know we're using new technology today, and we want to make sure everything works correctly. Yes? Okay, good. We have the thumbs up. So again, welcome to the Nevada Teachers and Leaders Council meeting. Today is September the 25th, 2024. Before I call the meeting to order, I would like to take care of a couple of housekeeping items. So first, the council does reserve the right to take agenda items out of posted order. Items may be pulled or removed from the agenda at any time, and items may be combined for consideration. Members of the public may provide public comment in person or in writing via email. Public comment will be accepted via email for the duration of the meeting and shared with council members during the appropriate agenda items. As you can see on the screen, public comment may be emailed to rick.derry@doe.nv.gov, and a link to the email is provided in the posted agenda. Members of the public are asked to indicate in the email subject line whether the comments is for public comment number 1 or public comment number 2. Public comment number 1 is limited to any item appearing on the agenda. No action may be taken on a matter discussed at this time unless the matter is included as an agenda item on which action may be taken. Public comment number 2 is limited to any matter within the Teachers and Leaders Council's jurisdiction, control, or advisory power. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes. That's first. Second piece of housekeeping is virtual format notes. Please remember to keep your microphone muted unless speaking. Click the raise hand button to be called on to speak. NDE will help me monitor that because sometimes those hands are so small, I don't see them. So we will definitely keep a lookout for those. Remember to state your name for the record and also allow extra time to be heard and are recognized due to possible technology delays. So with that said, I would now like to call the TLC meeting to order, and we're going to ask for a display of the flag, and then we will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. There we go. So please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And so now I would like to ask Mr. Rick Derry if he would call roll and tell us if we have quorum.
Good morning, council members. I'm Rick Derry. We'll begin the roll call. Starting with you, Chair Pam Salazar. Vice Chair Pamela Teal.
Present.
Member Gina Blackman-Taylor.
Here.
All right. Member Elizabeth Cadigan.
Present.
Perfect. Member Linda Gilkerson.
Here.
Perfect. Member Felicia Gonzalez. Member Pam Goings-Brown.
Here.
Perfect. Member Danica Hayes. Member Annie Hicks.
Present.
Member Lou Marcouzes. Member Darcy McInnes.
Here.
Perfect. Member Sue Molden.
Present.
Member Susan Neal. I saw you earlier. Are you still here, Neal? Susan Neal?
Yes.
Okay,
Present.
perfect. Member Juanita Ortiz.
Here.
Member Drew Shar. Member Andrew Tiscarino. Okay, with all 12 members in attendance, Chair, we have quorum.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Derry. Well, again, welcome everyone. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to participate in today's TLC meeting. Before we get started, we have a TLC member update. I would like everyone to please welcome our newest member, Miss Susan Neal, who is taking the place of former member Lola Brooks. Miss Neal is a member of the Elko County School Board. She is a former Elko teacher and staff development specialist, among other roles in her district, and she is also a volunteer CASA court-appointed special advocate. And so we welcome Susan to the Teachers and Leaders Council and give you an opportunity, Susan, to say hello to everyone.
Thank you very much. I look forward to working with all of you, and it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. And again, welcome, Susan. We're glad you're with us.
Thank you.
And so with that, I would like to go to public comment period number 1. And I would first ask if there is any public comment in the north.
This is Tina Statuki. We have no public comment up in Carson.
Thank you. Is there any public comment in the south?
Rick Derry, for the record, there is no public comment here in the South.
Thank you. And Rick, is there any public comment through email?
There is no current public comment submitted via email. Thank you.
Thank you. Then at this time, I would like to move to agenda item 3, which is the approval of the previous meeting minutes. And so would ask you now if, I think that's where I'm at, yes, and ask you now to take a look at the minutes. They are posted online. You might have received a link for those, but I'll give you just a couple of minutes to review the minutes of our last meeting. And then after that, I will ask for approval. So a couple of minutes to review.
Pam Teal for the record. Is it appropriate if I make a motion if I was the chair of the meeting that month?
I don't know why it would not be. It's simply a motion for approval of the minutes. So
I make a motion, we approve.
thank you. So motion on the floor to approve the minutes. Is there a second?
Member Hicks, I second the motion.
Thank you. So we have motion on the floor made by member Till, seconded by member Hicks for approval of the minutes. Any discussion, corrections, comments before we take a vote? Hearing none and seeing no hands raised, then I would call for all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, please say nay. Hearing none, that motion is passed. The minutes are approved, and that is our action item for this meeting. We'll now move to the next agenda item, which is for information and discussion. And this will be an update from NDE regarding NEPF update. So I will turn it over to Ms. Holt. Kathy?
Thank you, Chair Salazar. Catherine Hoyt, Education Programs Professional with the Office of Educator Development, Licensure, and Family Engagement for the record. Just to give everyone a shout out, I'm joined in the Las Vegas boardroom by Kelly Lynn Charles, who is helping with some technical assistance today. And I also have Member Ortiz with me too. Online today, Deputy Attorney General Gardner is out sick today, so he is being represented today by DAG Nicole Ting. So I just wanted to welcome Nicole and thank her for stepping in for us today at the last minute. We appreciate you being present today.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a lot of information to share regarding NEPF and NDE updates since we have last met in April. So just to begin, the spring NEPF liaison newsletter was shared with liaisons on May 9th and also posted to the NDE update on May 16th. NDE also distributed the annual NEPF implementation, which is the Monitoring for Continuous Improvement survey link to NEPF liaisons on April 1st. And we also submitted the NEPF districts ratings spreadsheet template and guidance document to our NEPF liaisons in our districts on May 1st, and both were due to return on July 15th. Just to note, we did have one district that did not provide ratings data. But other than that, the annual Monitoring for Continuous Improvement interviews with district liaisons are almost complete. We actually have one more to do tomorrow, and so we will conclude this week. And then another thing to note, because TLC had voted on this in a previous meeting, was about the TLC Budget Enhancement Request Letter regarding the NEPF electronic tool. So TLC had submitted a letter to the state board, and as of August 2024, NDE has responded to vendor inquiries regarding RFI for an NEPF electronic tool for data collection. So high hopes and stay tuned. All right, you can go to the next slide. We also wanted to give you an update on the NEPF redesign field study. In our last meeting in April, TLC had voted to share to the state board the NEPF redesign rubrics and tools. The state board on their June 12th meeting approved a field study which would be conducted over the next 3 school years in order to field test and refine NEPF rubrics and tools and protocols for our school administrators and teachers. So for the 24-25 school year, we have a limited number of schools in Clark County and the Public Charter School Authority participating, along with all schools in Elko, Lincoln, and Lyon counties. So we have approximately about 85 schools that are field testing materials for us. We've done introductory meetings with school leaders to support them as they kind of begin this venture, and they will be providing document samples and feedback about their experiences to NDE throughout the school year. We've also started some initial work group meetings with principal supervisors, administrators, and teachers. And we hope that with those work group members, they'll provide insight into daily implementation of the NEPF and provide greater suggestions and feedback and refinement, and preparing a report for us that we will share with the state board in June to kind of see what our next steps will be. We also hope in the future to have work groups for teacher librarians and our other educational licensed personnel, or OLIPs, that will likely take place in the winter to determine if there is an appetite for revising their NEPF rubrics and tools. We wanted to make sure that we were consulting those that it largely impacts within those work groups. So we are excited about the field study and about moving forward. All right, any questions before we continue? Okay, I don't see any hand raised, and thank you everyone for bearing with us with new technology today. I think we're doing great. can go ahead, Kelly. Okay. And that is all I have for NEPF updates. Right. Dr. Salazar,
Chairman.
I think you are muted.
Oh,
Yeah.
Pam Salazar for the record. Again, thank you for the update. I think all of us in TLC are very excited for the periodic reports regarding the field study, and we look forward to making a final presentation with regards to this in, as Kathy said, June 2025. So thank you. I'd now like to move to the next agenda item, which is also for informational and discussion purposes. And this is the NEPF data review. This is the annual report that NDE provides to us each year with regards to the implementation of the NEPF. So I will turn it back over to you, Kathy.
Thank you so much, Catherine Hoyt, for the record. We are going to do our annual review of our statewide performance evaluation system. And so there's going to be a lot of information regarding our NEPF ratings data for the state, our monitoring for continuous improvement data and our survey results, and talk a little bit about the interviews that we've conducted so far with our districts. As I go, I will pause for questions throughout the different slides. And I also invite Tina Statuki, who is representing us in the North today, and Kat Gallen-Collins online. If I am missing anything, or if you feel that you need to jump in for some clarification, please do. Okay, all right. Okay, so first of all, just the reason why we conduct the review that we do, it is per NRS 391-485, which requires an annual review of the statewide performance evaluation system and the manner in which schools and districts carry out evaluations pursuant to the system. So again, we're going to review the NEPF summative evaluation ratings data and the NEPF MCI survey data. One thing we just wanted to make clear is throughout the slides, you're going to see a lot of abbreviations. And I know a lot of us in the education world are probably familiar with the abbreviations, but we wanted to just make sure that it was very clear for the council and for the public what the different abbreviations refer to. So they are there for your reference, and that's included in our meeting materials as well. Okay. So we're going to start with an overview of the NEPF summative evaluation ratings. This is a statewide collection of our ratings data. And again, I had mentioned we had one district that did not share ratings with us. But the slide that you are looking at there, it lists all of our educator groups, the totals for each licensed position, and totals and percentages for each rating from ineffective to highly effective. And we also have a column where it says exempt. Those are for those employees that were exempt per the NRS. So there were a total of about 24,000 educators included, and exempt, there were about 1,200. So what you're looking at here, you can see if you want to focus in on our school administrators, you can see that the majority of our school administrators are falling into the effective category. They're listed at 77% effective overall. And the very last line is our teachers. You can see we have 20,000 teachers that were part of the NEPF ratings this year. And if we're looking at their effective rating, you can see it's about 71%. Okay. Are there any questions, or Tina and Kat, any information that needs to be shared? Okay, we'll go ahead and go on to the next one. Okay. So the information that you're seeing here is an overview of positions that are affected by a class size adjustment. Only teachers and teacher librarians are eligible for a class size adjustment per the NRS. And what you're looking at is those positions that were effective and highly effective, and those whose ratings was adjusted due to the class size adjustment. So if you're looking there again, it's teacher librarians and our teachers. And you can see overall, if you're looking in the change category, overall, the class size adjustment only affected about 2% of those positions. All right, any questions before we continue? We're not seeing any hands. I just want to make sure we're not missing anyone. Okay. Okay, so this slide is really, really important because it gives us an NEPF ratings view overview by the standard. So this helps us identify scoring for the highest and lowest average score across the state of NEPF instructional practice, instructional leadership standards for our administrators, and professional responsibility standards. So we discussed this a lot with the individual districts that we have met with so far during our MCI interviews as a data point to reference when they're thinking about needs for their educators and professional development planning. It's really important to know where they are lying, with their highs and lows when it comes to the standards. So we're going to start with school administrators. If you take a look at the lowest instructional leadership standard, it's listed as standard 1. The way the chart is laid out is the number in front is the average statewide score, and then the number in parentheses is denoting the actual NEPF standard. So their lowest instructional leadership standard for administrators is standard 1. That is creating and sustaining a focus on learning. It has to do with structures that they have put in place in their buildings, accountability with their staff for learning, planning, goal setting. Their highest standard is standard 3. That's creating and sustaining positive relationships. That focuses on, setting up respectful learning environments, communication, having structures in place to create welcoming environments for all. And so it's nice to see that that is their highest standard as we're really focusing on safe and respectful learning environments. Taking a look at our teachers, their lowest instructional practice standard is standard 4. That's the one with metacognitive strategies. And historically, that's been the lowest instructional practice standard. Their highest is standard 2, and that is the same as last year. And this standard refers to learning tasks having high cognitive demand. So if the data is reflective of success on this standard, that's good news that we are challenging our students with rigorous and cognitively demanding tasks. If we're looking at professional responsibilities, we're going to go back to our school admin. Their lowest professional responsibility is number 4, and that is family engagement. Their highest was number 3, professional obligations. That has to do with following policies, following procedures, modeling integrity in the work that they do, and advocating for appropriate treatment. And that is also the highest standard from last year. So for professional responsibilities for teachers, the lowest is number 2. That is reflection on their own professional growth. This could be indicative of a need for greater self-reflection of practice, seeking feedback and professional growth, and seeking mentorship opportunities. And their highest was number 5, which is student perception. This is also the same as last year. And this standard highlights the importance of the student to teacher relationship. So it's nice to see that being rated so highly as well. The final column to the end there, it refers to a percentage change in the summative score rating from the position compared to last year. So you can see some downward trends and some upward trends, but numerically, it's very similar to last year. Okay. And I see that we do have a question from Mayor Pam Goins-Brown, so I will let her go ahead and ask her question.
Thank you. For standard 4, since historically that has been the lowest one, and it's a difficult one, just from my years with the school district, is there conversation on the wording of that standard or more professional development to better the score for teachers to implement that standard?
So
Pam Salazar for the record.
Oh, go ahead, Pam.
I was going to say, Pam Salazar for the record. I would tell you, Member Goins-Brown, that is an ongoing PD goal. I think especially, and we're all aware of that, the research that came out from Visible Learning, all of the John Hattie work, and then the Dylan William work. kind of really highlighted the importance of metacognition in our classrooms with our students. And so I would tell you that it is something that, especially over the last few years post-COVID, that has been, from the RPDP's world in terms of providing professional development, a high level emphasis. And I think, and I see Member Hicks from the North RPDP shaking her head as well. So it is something that we continue to work on. And as, again, because of your experience at the building level, you recognize the challenge that it is for teachers to, help students become more assessment capable, as John Hattie calls it, more self-directed, and therefore able to engage in the kind of the metacognitive activity. So we are absolutely working in that arena from the RPDPs.
Okay, thank you.
And Catherine Hoyt, for the record, just to piggyback on what Chair Salazar had shared, as Tina Statuki and I did a lot of our monitoring for continuous improvement interviews this year, we had a lot of conversation with our districts about really having like a PD push with their educators about working with them to help their students be able to identify, what students are learning. Are they able to explain what they're learning? Are they able to understand when they have learned it? Are they able to reflect on that learning? And that a lot of them had shared that they were partnering with RPDP for NEPF support. And so that'll be addressing that standard too.
This is Tina Statuki for the record. I also wanted to add, based on our conversation, a lot of the discussion we had was also based around the fact that sometimes our administrators don't have the professional development they need to actually recognize metacognition in the classroom. So our teachers may be doing it, but the administrators don't know what they're looking for when they go in to actually supervise their teachers. So a lot of our conversations with our districts have been the need to really help our administrators, especially because statewide we've got a lot more newer administrators, right? So many of us have retired recently, that we really need to push the professional development for them to be able to go and assess what they actually see when they do their observations.
Member Hicks, I see your hand up.
Thank you, Chair Salazar. Member Hicks, for the record, I would just like to add that what Tina Statuki just shared is very true in my region, and something that we've been trying to do in partnership with our district and site leaders is to specifically provide professional learning for new administrators that helps them to do exactly that, to identify these best practices, what it looks like, and also some non-examples if they see either one, and then knowing how to provide actionable feedback that educators can then take to grow and improve. So I think it's professional learning on both sides, both for educators and also especially for leaders and those new to the field.
Thank you, Member Hicks. Any other questions or comments before we continue?
Pam Salazar for the record. I just want to comment because I know that Member Hicks is also involved with this, the larger initiative across Nevada with competency-based learning and the work that the districts are doing with KnowledgeWorks. There's a 6-question protocol for walkthroughs that is exactly these same questions about metacognition. So I think we're going to see it kind of amplified, if you will, this idea about supporting students in metacognition as we also, as a state, move forward with competency-based learning. So I do think that we're going to see more emphasis in that area and more success in that area over the next couple of years.
Catherine Hoyt for the record. Yep, exciting work to be done. Okay, if we are ready, we will go ahead and continue. Right, so the slide that you're looking at right now, that is for teacher score distribution statewide. The numbers that you're seeing along the bottom refer to the summative scores that teachers received. The columns are indicative of the number of teachers across the state that earn those scores. And the lines in between show where the teacher would have fallen in their assigned rating. So ineffective, developing, effective, highly effective. And you can see numerically that most of our teachers are falling into that effective category. We'll go on to the next one. So this is a data trend sheet over the last 5 years. It's for teacher trends. And so what you're seeing is the percentages and the ratings where the teachers would have fallen into between the 2019-2020 school year and between 2023 and 2024. The very dark blue that you can't see because it's so small would be the ineffective column. There is orange for developing. The green is for our effective teachers. The very light blue is the highly effective, and the purple are for those categories that are exempt. So you can see within the last 5 years that we are around 73, 72% of our educators falling in that effective category. Any question regarding the trends? Okay, let's go on to the next one. Okay, so this is a graph of the teacher SLG distribution. So this is the student learning goal. The student learning goal is 15% of a teacher's overall summative score. Teachers cannot be rated effective or highly effective without an SLG of at least 3 out of 4. And so this represents the teacher's ability to demonstrate student mastery or growth on a specific skill or standard. And so you can see 69.5% were rated a 3 out of 4. Okay, why don't we go on to the next one? Okay, so now we're going to take a closer look at our school administrators. This is the same chart that you had seen for the teachers. So you can see which rating categories statewide our administrators fell into. And predominantly, our administrators are within that effective category for their summative evaluation rating. And they also have the same 5-year trend chart of their score distribution, which is again the same as our teachers. You can see which rating they are largely falling into, and predominantly our school administrators are falling into the effective category. And you can see a slight upward trend over the last 5 years of our effective administrators. So administrators also have a student learning goal. And you can see that 82% earned a score of 3. So any questions about the data presented? No hands up? No? Okay. There we are. Okay, we just want to acknowledge that there are a couple of data limitations to note. The biggest, I think, is the subjectivity to human error. We still are collecting our data via Excel spreadsheet. Again, it's compiled by NDE staff and district staff as that is shared with us. So you definitely have to acknowledge that there probably is some subjectivity to human error in there. In the case of teachers, that's over 20,000 lines of data to review, which I can say that Tina Statuki does incredibly well and assisted me a lot with that this year. And this is a part of the reason that we are advocating for funding for that statewide electronic tool to be able to house and disaggregate that data. And also, as previously mentioned, we did have one district who did not share their data. And then the data may also not reflect subgroups with a small N size. So if they had less than 10 employees within that category, it may not have been shared with us. Okay, we are going to go ahead and move on into our survey data if we don't have any questions or comments. Okay, so our survey data is collected from each district in July. We asked that they provide the data by July 15th. We had a larger amount of responses than we have had in the last couple of years. So we had 6,688 responses of all licensed positions. We had about 489 administrators, that's about 41%. And for teachers, we had about 5,440, that's about 27%. And you might say, you know, gosh, it's only 41% or it's only 27%, so we're missing a large sample size. But if you're looking at kind of like the average survey response rate, it's between 20 and 30%. So we're actually a little bit above average when it comes to our response rates. So we thank our districts for working with us and pushing out the survey and working hard with their LEAs to encourage them to respond, because that data really does matter and it really does help drive our decision making. So what you're looking at here is a feedback questions that we pose to administrators and teachers. This is regarding their evaluation process and the feedback received impacting their practice and student learning. The light gray represents data collected from administrators. The dark blue is for the teachers. And the percentages that you see represent those who responded either agree or strongly agree. So the three questions that you see from that category are: we asked if they believe that their evaluation was fair. Our administrators, 92% either agreed or strongly agreed. Teachers, it was 91%. We also wanted to make sure that we were inquiring about feedback, because we have talked often about the importance of that feedback conversation and in guiding professional growth. So 80% agreed or strongly agreed of administrators, and 70% of our teachers agreed that the feedback that they received positively impacted their instructional practice. And then 67% of administrators and 69% of teachers agreed that the feedback they received positively impacted student learning within their buildings. We'll go on to the next one. Okay. So another set of questions that we asked had to do with professional growth as an educator. Both groups were asked questions related to their own professional growth, kind of like the previous slide. The light gray represents the data collected from administrators, the dark blue represents the teachers, and the percentages that you see represent those who responded either agree or strongly agree. We asked if teachers and administrators believe that their NEPF evaluation helped them identify areas of growth as an educator. You can see 63% of administrators agreed, 68% of teachers agreed. And then we also asked about their evaluation being focused more on professional growth rather than a score or a rating, and if they had access to the professional development needed to implement feedback and or directives provided by the NEPF. This is also a question that we reviewed with our districts and our NEPF liaisons when we met with them to address their learning needs as a district when it came to their own professional development needs for their licensed personnel. Okay. So another set of questions that we asked was about the impact on time. So this is the NEPF survey data related to that. We asked, how much time did it take to complete the NEPF evaluation cycle? So the question and the chart on the left are for teachers. The responses on the right are from administrators. The gray bars on the graph are from last year's data, 22-23, and we wanted to compare that to the blue responses from 23-24. So in comparison, you can see teachers have a much higher rate than administrators in the strongly agree category. Both are pretty consistent in their responses for agree, and there is a slight upward trend for both in those who disagree or strongly disagree that a reasonable amount of time was spent. Which is a data point that we noted when considering doing the NEPF redesign field study. Okay. Are there any questions about the MCI survey? Okay. Okay. And so, like we had mentioned before, our interviews for the year are almost complete. We have one more visit to do tomorrow. We meet with all 17 districts. We've done so between August and September this year, and the NEPF liaisons use the survey and the NEPF data to inform their professional learning plans, to make connections to their district initiatives, such as mentorship programs and professional development efforts. So we hope that that data helps to strengthen the validity of what they are choosing to do to best serve their educators and their students.
Kathy, this is Tina Statuki for the record. I just wanted to ask you a question in case I wasn't paying attention, but one of the things I wanted to bring up about the previous slide, as far as whether or not it was taking a reasonable amount of time, was based on a lot of the feedback that we got through these interviews. And again, this is why we do the interviews. One of the questions says the NEPF cycle experience took a reasonable amount of time. And one of the districts brought up that that is not necessarily clear. And, you know, we've been doing a similar survey for the last couple of years because for some of them, when they say it's not reasonable, it could be they think it takes too much time. But on the flip side, which we've never kind of even thought of before, some of the responses were like, well, maybe it's not enough time, right? Like maybe they are being evaluated without their administrator being able to observe their practices as much as they should. For a variety of reasons. So it was kind of nice to get that feedback. And I know Kathy and I have talked about in the future for this next year, maybe revising the question so we can be more specific, right? If you're talking about reasonable, you're saying it's taking too much time, or you're talking about you're not getting enough time spent through this cycle to be evaluated properly.
Pam Salzer for record. Thank you, Tina.
Kathy,
Any
go ahead.
Any additional information to share with us, Kathy, from this report?
No, that concludes our annual data review, and we plan on sharing it with the state board potentially in November or December.
Thank you.
And that is it.
Okay. Again, any questions for Kathy with regards to this report? This took a lot of work. Kathy and Tina have been working on this for over a month. So lots of work. So thank you both ladies. I know that you spent a lot of time pulling all of this together.
This is Tina Statuki for the record. I just wanted to add, most of these interviews are conducted virtually, but we do take our show on the road. And I know in the course of 24 hours, Kathy and I visited 9 different counties in Nevada to do these interviews in person. So we had the privilege of especially going to some of our smaller communities and meeting with their NEPF liaisons and talking about the work. So I love traveling, and Kathy, I think, was exposed to a lot of Nevada that she may never have seen before.
That's terrific. Thank you. Thank you. And so with no further questions then on agenda item 5, NEPF data review, I'd like to move to agenda item 6 for future agenda items and ask Kathy, are there agenda items that that NDE recommends that TLC take a look at? I think as you've pointed, we do know that we have legislative session coming up beginning in February 2025. And you know, some of what's going to happen in that legislative session, we won't have all of the data in yet for the redesign of the NEPF, but we'll certainly have some information based on progress reports that NDE and the districts have conversations about. But, you know, is there anything that needs to go in front of the legislators, you know, at this next session on behalf of TLC? You know, me personally, I'm excited about the redesign, very much excited and hopeful.
Catherine Hoyt for the record. Just to note, like you said, the word is out that the redesign is taking place right now. So we can't say for sure, at least I'm unaware of, any initiatives regarding NEPF at this time, but we are excited about the work. And we will do a follow-up with TLC in our upcoming meeting, just to make sure that we are keeping you in the loop, because TLC is a huge force in guiding this work. So we'll make sure that we're sharing our progress.
Yes. Thanks, Kathy. Pam Salazar for the record. Yes, and the superintendents, as you know, I attend the superintendents meetings each month, and the superintendents with Pam Teal, who, by the way, the power went out of their district office, which is why she had to log off. So she was texting me back and forth saying, it's not coming on. It's not coming on. Do you need me for a vote? No, we're okay. We don't have a vote today, but that's been all the texting from her. But she shares at the superintendent's meeting, as well as myself, in terms of what the TLC is doing with this redesign and the idea behind the field study. And so again, as I said, I'm very hopeful with the districts that are participating and learning from the field study on how we can again ensure that the NEPF is doing what it was intended from the very get-go, which is to support teacher growth, to support student learning, support leader growth, to support teacher growth, to support student learning. That's always been the intent. So hopefully with the field study, we're going to have more information about how that is working through these districts. So I am excited to have an update at our next meeting, which we do have a meeting scheduled for November 20th, March 26th, and May 30th. We may or may not meet in November 20th. It will mostly depend on if there is enough information at that point in time. If not, then we do have a meeting March 26th, which will be in the midst of legislative session. And so by then we'll have more of a sense of what all the BDRs that are going forward, anything that is directly impacting decisions that NEPF needs to weigh in on. As you know, I have attended legislative session multiple times over the years in response to questions regarding the NEPF or SLG, and hopefully we continue to move forward with this work. So that's kind of where we're at for the moment. Kathy, any other areas that you think that we need to take a look at this point?
From Catherine Hoyt for the record, from my end, not at this time. We're excited to see the feedback that we get from the field study, and the guidance that we get from our work group members too, to help be our boots on the ground and guide that work. So again, we will definitely make sure that we are keeping you in the loop.
All right. With that, before I go to public comment number 2, I would ask if there's any closing comments from any members or any questions, thoughts about next meeting, agenda items, etc. before I go to public comment number 2.
Sue Molden for the record. Can
Yes.
you share what the names, which districts again are being part of the field study?
Yes, Elko, Pam Salazar for the record, Elko, Lyon, and Lincoln, and then some schools in Clark County and some schools in the Charter Authority.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, then I am going to move now to public comment number 2. And again, starting with the north, is there any public comment in the north?
We have no public comment in Carson City.
Thank you. Moving to the south, any public comment in the south?
There is no current public comment here in the south.
Any public comment from email?
There is no public comment submitted via email.
Thank you, Mr. Rick Gary. Thank you. And so with that, with no further comment, I again want to thank all of you for attending today and taking your time out. And again, welcome Susan to our TLC group. And this meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.